Over 99% of people will avoid this and run away like a little spineless, weak little coward. A jealous, spiteful, egotistical person, okay, living in mentality, in a personality, and no spirituality and no faith whatsoever. Not in the truth. They only live in their own truth. In a mass, global, delusional state. Massive syndrome and denial. They can't use their sixth sense. 27 biofields gone in dormancy. That's their spirituality. Mental telepathy, ESP, remote viewing, telekinesis, levitation, spoon bending, clock winding, folding space and time with deja vu to predict the future and to prevent what's going to happen. 98.7% of the population in their aura is anti-clockwise. They have no spirituality. They only live in mentality. Doesn't matter what comes out of their mouth. Everyone's an actor on a screen all day. Because they're post-humans, declared 1999 that the world is crazy, losing their sixth sense, going into sixth mass extinction for the sixth time. And everybody lives in denial, in a five-sense world, in their consciousness mentality. And they're trapped so deep in the consciousness set up by the Rockefellers into the conscious simulated by WF, they don't even know what they're doing. And the grammar they select, with artificial intelligence and leverage mutation by atheism, that's designed like this. From generation to generation, they normalise what was immoral yesterday and twist the fabric truth to sit in their own comfort zone, right, on a couch potato in front of a screen all day. Actors all over the world, self-proclaimed nutcases. They're just actors, man. You know what these people like spiritually behind closed doors? You'd be amazed. You'd be amazed at all these smooth-talking people with their grammar and their IQ behaviour and how conditioned they are into the grammar and their own belief system and only believe in their own truth and only care about their own opinions. Trust me, 98.7% voltage reliability in their aura, in their DNA, in their cells is anti-clockwise, and their cells go corruption illusion during the daytime and can only appear at night time for 3 to 4 hours a night. 1.3% can appear 24 hours a day without one single mental disorder defects. Every Westerner, 98.7%, has 600 to 6,000 defected genes, and because they live in denial, as reported worldwide in America, 77% of the children now is born with chronic diseases because they're a species in brain-locked denial with self-centered ego, self-envy, self-pride, and just actors for someone else that can only use 7 to 15% of the brain with the highest IQ people in the world. And there's only a handful of people left in the world. We call them the elect in the Bible. Okay, warned with DNA studies done that the world would be in a massive global delusional state except for the elect. And the elect has been chosen through natural selection with the most powerful DNA study ever done. They can do what Christ can and more with divine power to command nature and all their spiritual power with all their 27 biofields. So they can think dimensionally and they can think outside the mind and master the mind, use 100% of their brain. No one in the West can use any more than 15 to 50%. And that's who you follow. You follow reptilian mentality because that's what all people are in America. There's not one mastermind in America that can master his mind and use 100% of his brain, not one. Not one. There's only two in Europe. Winoff and Mastermind Xing are the only two in Europe with DNA studies done, and we've got everyone's DNA and they're watching everybody, right? NASA's watching everyone on the screen every day for a reason. They know what these species are like behind closed doors. That's why they're watching every human being on earth, right? They don't give a stuff about the actors. They watch them on social media when they text all the time in privacy behind closed doors. That's the whole idea. We know for a fact on DNA studies done, 95% of people aren't human. But no one's going to tell you that. Of course they're not, because they're not human. They all have 23 chromosomes and 98.7%, and only 1.3% has 24. It's in dormancy and all the rest. You can see it in studies out of research, and listen to the lies coming from the scholars. and the artificial intelligence worldwide that are trapped in their mind can't use any more than 15% of the brain. They live in denial themselves. All the governments do, all the top scholars do, all the doctors do, all the professors do, because they're all mentally insane, declared in 99 that they're crazy, because they're not normal. When they haven't got their sixth sense and they can't think instinctively outside the mind, they can't use their natural selection and their natural gain of managers. So there's nothing natural about them. So they use artificial intelligence and unnatural selection worldwide. Suffering with demons in their mind. You know, the voice of the mind is ultimately decided from extinction, right? Okay, and that's what you believe in yourself. And the voice is inside your mind. To believe in yourself, to be a competitive, right, little snotty, godless, immoral creature. And that's what you all are. 98.7% doesn't even use their biofields because they're in dormancy. They can't use 85 to 93% of their brain because they've got brain fog and live in denial about it. With their IQ and their grammar and their artificial intelligence and all those selections. Why don't they have remote viewing and deja vu to predict the future? Because they're anti-clockwise and live in denial. Every single European and Westerner lives in denial. Every American. Delusional. Parasites. Living in mentality. In their consciousness. Go and Google consciousness development 1640 by the Rockefellers. It's a mental event. It's a mental process. It's an illusion of imagination. Yesterday I put up 2 videos about spiritual, right? Or the awakening mind, part 1, part 2. Listen to these experts. The Great Awakening. Listen to all these experts. All these scientists and all these scholars. Listen to these morons talking about, they don't even know what faith is. They don't know what a divine intervention is. They don't know what a miracle is, and they don't believe in it neither. They don't believe in magic or mystery. This is all the New Age worldwide. Right? That's why they don't have a divine intervention. Because they follow a different God. They don't even believe in that. Mate, they all work together with AI. They all work together with new post-human millennium stage. The last human being born over a 24 chromosome was born in 1920. The last one that can use its genetic memory and its genetic process with its ancestors to us were born in 1960. And I'm the last one born. We're the most powerful confirmation on Earth by the biggest think tank in the world and the most powerful DNA study ever done and the most powerful miracles ever recorded in modern history. It's with me. The Star Chamber Inquiry. The Federal Police and National Crime Authority went to Parliament House to seek authority to unleash the biggest think tank in the world, the Star Chamber Inquiry. The first case of its kind was the 1st of January 1999. 105 people arrested in an inquiry. I was the most wanted in the underground world when they put direction microphones on me, on surveillance, 24-hour surveillance. They realised something. Number one, at 24, stamped an Indian number in such a way the X-ray machine 5 years later could not detect it. So I have deja vu to predict the future and prevent what's going to happen. At the age of 32, I'm on the front page of the paper as King Vice, right, in Brisbane Courier Mail. At the age of 33 in 1994, I'm on 17 current affairs shows as a mastermind loopholes of laws and a mastermind manipulation, and I can unravel the whole goddamn system. The whole goddamn system that you're designed into on reverse psychology engineering and why you can't use more than 7 to 15% of the brain when I can use 100%. I developed the most powerful enlightenment drug and true serum in the world. You can see in the movie Limitless to use 100% of your brain, which means you do not know what you do because your systems can't work it out, nor can your religious political cults in New Age. I proved that with a drug. A drug comes from a plant called mayang that Christ as Moses used on the Sumerian tablets. So we developed the most powerful enlightenment drug, love drug, and truth serum in the world that brought down the highest death time, economic violence, and domestic violence in 30 years. That caused the Royal Commission paying up for 23 years, and the Stolen Declaration of Poverty, the biggest mail-out research ever conducted, and the most powerful DNA study ever done. When we bring people back in the primal state with the biofields, to open up their perceptions, with the most powerful truth serum in the world, an enlightenment drug, that brings them right back to the primal state, to master their mind, use 100% of their brain, with a vortex of information with the universal language. that comes from out of the blue. The picture that tells you that was going to lie to you. Dimensional thinking. And everyone lives in denial worldwide. Under mind control worldwide. Can't use their biofields, and I proved that back in 1994 with the most powerful love drug and truth serum in the world, in the underground world, on every testing centre across Australia that went to the Star Chamber inquiry were people that had godlike power in the inquiry. And I was number one in the Star Chamber inquiry with godlike power that can do every single thing that Christ can and more. Every single thing that Christ can and more. And everyone lives in denial. Let me tell you something. No one believes in me. No one cares neither. Everyone's to lie and suppress me worldwide. You will warn about me coming in the Bible. You'll know with the tools and the mark on earth that I'll live here. I'll do every single thing that Christ can and teach the resurrection and protect the elect, and no one believes in me. 5 most powerful biblical prophecies land on my date of birth with the most powerful declaration made worldwide. I can't lie about it. Watch my videos, do the research, and open up your fucking mind and grow a fucking brain, because you haven't got one. It's in dormancy. Brain fog, 93%, right? 85% in the highest IQ people in the world. So you can say what you like. Your body cells go corrupt delusion during the daytime, and you all die prematurely from stress-related diseases because you follow the wrong bloodline with genetic memory, and you don't even know because you're delusional. Why do you think you've got so many defective genes and so many mental disorders and defects? And why do you think you always do what you're told with the voice of mind that tells you to do that? They can make 16% of people kill in 1916, 48% in 45, 68% in 1968, and 100% today. They can make 98.7% take the vaccination with mandates. They can make everyone do what they want. Mind control exposed 1999 worldwide. Dealing in the Sun got locked up in England for exposing some of the documents, and we did 10 years with corruption, which my arresting officer commends me and reports in the second mention. I'm set up for corruption. Chief Justice Jersey in 2010 declared my case the most corrupt case in Australian history in every university. Imagine what I put up with all these reptilian mentalities worldwide, all these low-life scum, because the world's full of low-life scum, and 99% of people scum sitting on a screen all day, just actors, all talk, no action, all about themselves and their opinions, never done nothing in society. Go home with these species behind closed doors, all these self-proclaimed nutcases from American social media platform. You mean the most self-envy, self-pride civilization with the most deformity and take the most drugs, the Americans, the biggest low-life propaganda artists in the world. You know, it's reported yesterday that 67% of everything comes out of America with all their good products for health issues has no policing. And it's all con artists. Right? Every third person now there's a gay person, full of drugs, sex and rock and roll, can't function in real life. They all take more drugs than anyone else. They're the biggest low-life scum of the world, and there's no spirituality in these people. Only when they take drugs because they're mental. They're only a mental species, living in mentality, in a personality, just like the rest of the world does, in front of a screen, who mentally resonates. Doesn't have any codependent feelings with any codependent power, and no codependent relationships. I can ring my wife 3,000 kilometers away and say, hey, what's up? She said, I've been sick. I was throwing up this morning. How did you know? Because I can feel it. You fuckheads think about things too much, don't you? And you can't feel shit because your feelings are gone. When they put direction microphones on me, right, with 24-hour surveillance, when they put pen to paper in a courtroom with my name on it, I can feel it. So I see it with remote viewing and day shadow to predict the future and prevent what's going to happen. It's on their reports. I have the most powerful godlike power in the world on their own reports in the biggest study ever done. And I stand against the Babylonian beast while you support every day of life with your radio waves, modern technology with modern gadgets with images and principality in the power in there that controls you in your mentality, in your personality with amnesia, trapped in a reincarnation trap, and you keep coming back like a fool in a massive global delusion state. And with amnesia, how do you know? You know nothing about yourself. Christ woke up from amnesia at 24 and said, I'm son of David, son of Abraham, with genetic memory and a genetic ancestor tools. At 5 years old, I told my mum about the worst moment in her life in 1945 in World War II. And she said I was crazy and a freak of nature. So did everyone else at school. So did all the people say around the world, and especially right Christians and pastors and priests. They said I was crazy as well because I can do what Christ can and they can't. Fucking low-life reptilians living in a book-smart education, right? With what? Grammar and literal psychological, mental, controlling behaviour. That's what every New Age does with controlling artificial intelligence with light, power, energy, vibrations and frequencies. And that's exactly why these species have no divine intervention and no divine power to command nature. Nothing. Just live in a massive global delusional state like every New Age with the awakening. Watch these scholars. They don't believe in miracles. That's why they don't have any. They don't believe in life after death and know what it's all about to cross over and come back because they've never done it in their life. They don't have that experience, wisdom, and knowledge. They haven't gone to other dimensional fields and crossed over to parallels and come back. I have. So it's Enoch, Thoth, and Christ. I've been to many dimensions and come back. I've been declared dead 3 times. I brought someone back to life 3 times with the most powerful peer reports and most powerful poem written in 2000, read the one and only, in a big study done by the biggest think tank and DNA study done with CCTV to back it up. All you reptilian mentality, you've been throwing stones at me my whole life and you still do because you're scum of the world. You all got fucking voices in your mind. You all suffer stress, fear, anxiety, confusion, frustration, delusion, and paranoia, and then you lie about it. Then you lie to everyone, take drugs, and go consume more garbage, and shove shit down their throat, and go immediately resonate with someone else because you're mental. Look at your relationships at home, your family, your loved ones, your friends. Huh? You got no codependent, intuitive relationship, and you got no EMP pulse in your intuitive power because your sixth sense is gone. 27 biofields, your biosphere, your biosenses. Do you know that stands for the divine power to command nature? The Holy Spirit divine light is your 27 biofields that gives you the God-given power to command nature so that no weapon formed against you can prosper. And right now, everything's prospering against you. Every single thing you give consent to. And you give consent to these things to prosper against you every fucking day with low-life reptilian mentalities that are liars all over the world and just actors everywhere. Everyone's become an actor. They're not living in innocence mentality, right? They're not living in their spirituality in innocence. They haven't crossed over like a father who sacrificed everything for their children. They're not innocent. They're actors and Hollywood spinners and American dreamers worldwide, all about themselves. They live of the law of Jandy, all about me, myself, and I, all about me, all about me, all about me. And that's all these reptilians care about is themselves in real life. They conquer, debate, and divide with their own feminine disciplines because they can't keep relations together with any codependent power, and there's no loyalty. There's no loyalty in any one of these reptilian mentalities. Worldwide, every single Westerner have no spirituality, no soulmate relationships anywhere since 1960. Recorded with DNA. They're spineless, weak, jealous, filthy, low-life mentality worldwide. As warned in Revelation, declared in DNA worldwide. They live in denial. A species in denial declared 2003, and they live in more denial today in mentality and talk grammar all day, but they don't have a sixth sense. They can't use mental telepathy, ESP, remote viewing, telekinesis, levitation, spoon-bending, clock winding, folding space and time with deja vu to predict the future of what's going to happen. They can't harness any power at all because they haven't got any power. Their aura's anti-clockwise and only works 1 to 5% during the daytime. And their sixth sense, when they're asleep, repairs their body 3.5 to 4 hours a night. 1.3% live in their spirituality and crossed over and control their business from the outside in, like you see in the movie Matrix, Resurrection. They don't live in mentality in a personality. They live in spirituality and control their business from the outside in. And they can master their mind. And they have all their godlike power to levitate and do many wonderful things because they're innocent. Okay, only 1.3% off the grid. Still a mastermind amongst some Buddhist indigenous people and people in the streets that cannot stand the Western system. And people are genuinely reborn and crossed over has to get away from the church and everybody else. It's a known fact. No one's reborn. No one's crossed over. They're just mentality, living in their stupid reality with their new age. Look at them all on screens, living in a 5 cents world and text all the time, text trolling. They live in a 5 cents world 95 to 99% of the time. They cannot think instinctively outside the mind with their 6 sense and their 27 biofields. They haven't got dimensional thinking. They haven't got remote viewing. They haven't got deja vu to predict the future and prevent what's going to happen. Go look at YouTube, children. Our aura's perfect from 0 to 7 before we go to school, and then it goes anti-clockwise into corruption, collusion, and treasoning, right, by design, because we become mentally institutionalized. Bruce Lee commands mind by 24 and 5, 12 bit back karate blindfolded, and block will be punched 7 times based on think. Blindfolded. He uses the 6th sense with deja vu and predicts what's going to happen before it happens, and blocks every punch from 12 people back karate, because they live in a 5 sense world. With their eyes, they think it's the windows to their soul, and they can't use their third eye, the 6th sense, to see the picture of the towers of third voice in a time where time stands still over search with deja vu to go in the past and future. Haven't got a fucking clue. I knew at 5 years old. Called the freak of nature. And I know every person's a reptilian mentality that can't use these tools and a liar. Call me a liar, mental, when in fact they are. Accuse me what they're guilty of. Say I'm on drugs when they are, because they're scum of the world. Putrid scum I put up with 60 years of my life always call me a freak of nature. They're scum. They're putrid reptilian scum. Jealous, spiteful fucking cowards. When someone comes along that's in the Christ image and has all the tools to do what he can do with all the spirituality, they hate people like us. Right? 99% of people can't stand people like us. Pastors and preachers and Christians cannot stand us. That's why God developed this, to prove that the whole world's mentally insane. He warned you about this. He warned you about us having the divine power to command nature, right? And come in with miracles. And come in with the most powerful confirmation on earth. My book unfolds with evidence, so I predict the future. That's the evidence. The testimony of drug we were born, and we made bread manna that Christ has Moses used with the most powerful truths in the world. On every testament and prove that you're under mind control. Because you live by nefarious. You live by Baal's tools. That's why Baal took away your brow, your voltage reliability. Because you're in your mind now. And you gave him consent in your mind with the voice mind that tells you to do that. In the 5 sense world, in a 5D world, light, power, deceiving, demonic, as the book of Enoch warned you about. Because it's only a personality of Christ consciousness. It's only a personality with a certain machine that opens up the portal to the right to the matrix, and you're controlled by the matrix, and you've been controlled by those ways in the matrix for 100 years. Set up by the Rockefellers to invert your placebo effect with a faith document in 1920 to be executed by 220, and they fucking did it perfectly. And then the zombie apocalypse come across the planet, put you in checkmate, and the first thing you all did, when we created the Extinction Rebellion with 335 million people and shut every capital city down in 4,500 locations in 160 countries in the world, on 27 September 2019, you bunch of filthy animals came on the screens, divided with your family, loves and friends, and then you become the credit thieves and think you're the one chosen. But you did not go against the book Revelation 27, against the 6th mass extinction, stripping the 6th sense for the time. You did not come into the Extinction Rebellion, and we shut every capital city down. The world's biggest army the world's ever seen. 335 million people shutting 4,500 capital cities down worldwide in 150 countries. Were you there? No, you're a credit thief and a liar. So is every person on the screen. A credit thief and a liar. Every American, every person on the screen is a credit thief, a content thief, and a liar. Trying to steal credit for what we've done for 20, 30, 40 years. Filthy reptilians trying to steal credit for what we've done for the last 40 years. You low-life scum. I don't get no credit for bringing about the most powerful confirmation on earth with DNA, the Book of Life, the Book Freedom by Jimmy Gibbs, held by 16,000 top scholars of the world, the Holy Grail of Life, and we're not breathing, the Holy Breath of Life. So when we do this, with the most elect people in the world, right, to go back in a moral state with natural selection, what do? Avoid it the most, because there's nothing natural about you. You can't make a natural decision, and you can't make a natural selection either, because there's nothing natural about you. And that proves it. You're mentally insane. You have no feelings. As you can see on YouTube, when kids are perfect from 0 to 7, if they're not Americans and Westerners, that is, because they're scum. All their kids are parasites now with chronic diseases because they're riddled with parasites and mentally deformed with 600 to 6,000 defective genes in every single one of these scum. Reptilian mentality in self-centered ego. envy, self-pride, all about themselves, trapped in mentality, in a personality with grammar that's been selected, right, by their own forefathers with artificial intelligence and an alien invasion that controls them. They give consent to. The aliens, they give consent to. The great gods that return and controls their mind from the 5D world, light, power, distributing demonic, because it's only personality. And that's what everyone's trapped into, a personality, and do what they're told. Do what they're told. Fucking hope they do what they're told every day. They live in a delusion and pretend they don't. They support the system and the Babylonian beast and radio waves and screens every fucking day of their life. And they can't get off because they're possessed with addictions every day of their life. Look on YouTube. Put in the search in third-eyed children superhuman. You see by 8 years old they can read, draw and write blindfolded with their sixth sense. You can see by 12 years old they can predict the next car road coming around the corner what colour it is. So they got deja vu and can prevent what's going to happen. They can also predict who's ringing on your phone and what they're wearing in the other end. And they start to ask deep and meaningful questions about spirituality, right? And not mentality. The meaning of life. That's how dumb you are. That's how dumb all your new age and all your great scholars worldwide in their awakening mind. In the awakening mind. Look at these numbnuts. God created the most powerful miracles with me. My brother Yam was in the Kempsey Basin where 20 people died in his bus. 36 people died. Stopped the country. He was in a coma for 3.5 weeks under Dr. Wright. And Queensland Mental Health Board was there in PA Hospital. With a big article in the paper. A massive miracle. He said goodbye to 19 people when he died and flatlined and came back. And went in the ward next door. Over the next 10 days. And every names a goodbye to was the first name that died in his bus except for the driver responsible for the accident. And his wife, who died, was the last one that came. And she said on the front page of the paper, a miracle, written by Dr. Wright, who was an atheist and changed his whole belief system. And so did the top psychiatrist. And he gave him a Queensland mental health bill. Clean bill. He was normal. His wife said the driver wasn't the best. She was the only one that made it. And the rest were lost with amnesia, trapped in a reincarnation trap and getting one more fucking final chance. And God developed that, not your religious cults and your control systems. And every person a control freak has zero faith when God creates this. I bring someone back to life with the most powerful confirmation and peer reports, and no one has faith in that neither. No one has faith in nothing but themselves. And the voice of one that controls them, that they give consent to. They can't feel the truth, and they've got zero faith. God's developed most powerful confirmation on earth, and they've got zero faith, these scum. No one's got any faith anywhere in the world. I know better than anyone, because I am the one and the one and only developed like this, and I know everyone's a scum. Everyone's a filthy, low-life scum. No feelings, no faith that God developed all this, only faith in their voice and mind, and that's why they sold their soul out. That's why they're soulless. They can't feel the truth. These kids can feel the truth. Parents can't because they're animals. They're fucking godly small creatures in a massive global delusional syndrome and live in denial. They can't feel the truth at all. And I have the most powerful feelings in the world with a universal codependent language, a codependent power through the atmosphere. And what did my arresting officer say and 40 other cops? Kim, we see that you have an angel watching over you with godlike power. We can see that you can do things no one else can do. I'm sitting down with the top scholars in the world, the top bowlers, and the two top scientists in the world in a 6-hour meeting, and they tell me I'm one of a kind on 34 years study and 16 years of DNA study. I'm one of a kind. I'm the only one in the world, and I come with the most powerful confirmation on earth. And you know what? Like Christ, I'm an outlaw in the streets, a street warrior, teacher in the streets. And I brought people back on the Pomona State on the streets. In the biggest testing centre. In the biggest test across Australia. My product, the most powerful truth serum on every testing centre across Australia in the Star Category. So from the streets, I bring people back in the Pomona State with the most powerful love drug that stopped domestic violence, where kids got taken off the parents, going home to get raped and bashed, and becomes prison prostitutes later. That's what they've been paying out for 23 years and still paying out for today. Your cops and politicians, your pastors and preachers and your nurses and your teachers, right? The ones you all trust the most, maybe your uncle, maybe your best friend, are the ones that rape your kids. The best lies in the world is an actor on a screen, right? And you don't know what they're like behind closed doors. In the biggest mental health research ever conducted, all gay people and child sex offenders got no moral guilt and shame. And we know a DNA study today for a fact, a proven fact, that 93% of the whole population has no moral guilt and shame, no sixth sense, no biofields, brain fog, living in a personality with mentality. We know that 98.7% is in the same voltage reliability, but they have an opportunity to cross over, but they won't. I put up 5 posts recently from people all over the world, 60, 70, 80 years old that died and got sent back recently. I just want to remind you something. They're all telling you worldwide when they went across and sent back with another opportunity, they're all saying that 98% of people's going to the abyss. 98%. If you look at the aura, 98.7% is anti-clockwise, and that's their spirituality. They haven't got an aura of their sixth sense, and they live in denial about it. They won't cross over, they won't resurrect, they won't do the restoration with DNA and genetic memory and wake up from amnesia and the reincarnation trap, because they're trapped that deep. They don't want to wake up. They don't want to be in the Christ image to go across a new timeline with sevenfold wisdom knowledge to live with the tree of life. And we're going to 6 mass extinction, stripping the sixth sense for the 6th time. And that's why animals come out in circles over the earth and birds falling out the sky with vertigo. And when you look at Hawaiian syndromes and look at every peer report, from mental disorders, cancer, blood clot, myocarditis, right? They've all discovered something about Hawaiian syndromes and every mental disorder and defects and why everyone's dying prematurely from stress-related diseases. It's the same thing. The aura is anti-clockwise, and body cells are corruption, illusion, and people lost their sixth sense and all their magnetic fields, their biofields of 27 senses. Hawaiian syndrome is the most perfect example, gone up 7 times in the last 5 years, where they lost all their magnetic pulse with EMP pulses. So they're not a loving, compassionate person. They're not spirituality, they're only mentality. And everyone's controlled by stress, fear, and anxiety, confusion, frustration, delusion, and paranoia, and live in denial about it. We see that in body cells, in corruption, corrosion, illusion, in 98.7% of the population, anti-clockwise. They follow the Antichrist. No matter what comes to their mouth, they're only personality with mentality, and they're only self-centered, egotistical creatures worldwide that only care about themselves and their own opinions. And they can't think outside the mind and mastermind and use 100% of their brain like you see in the movie Limits, where the board takes up information with sevenfold wisdom knowledge, right, with dimensional thinking. Can't use those tools at all. They just live in a massive global delusional state and lie to everyone else and to get their attention because they're that nefarious worldwide. They care about nothing but themselves. Every American and every Westerner only cares about themselves. Be careful. They're dangerous offsprings of the Netherlands, right? That's trapped in the 23rd sea. They warn about in the Bible. Okay, the 24th in dormancy. They live in mentality, reptilian mentality in the front cortex, and they can't use their biofields, right? In their heart chakra, which 45,000 cells is your brain that controls your gut feeling survival mode, the chakra, to feel what's coming from miles away. Okay? To feel what's coming miles away. Okay? And Jacob's ladder, the Neuralink, the tree of life with your body cells, gives you the outside influence with a codependent relationship, right? Through the atmosphere where you've got the shining armor, so that nothing and no weapon formed against you can prosper. And you use your sixth sense that creates a second secretion to see with the third eye, to see the picture of the towers of Thamus, a light bulb idea that comes down close to you, turns into a portal with dimensional thinking to see in the future and in the past. And no one can use it. They're all lies across the world, but they're told in the Bible they must resurrect and cross over through the rebirth, back in their primal state in resurrection, if they want to go through this, to create heaven and earth. And you know, the Bible says very clearly, there's no more heaven and hell. From the 27th September 2027, 2000 you've been crossed by Papa John on the new climbing clock, 7-year countdown, 7-year lay. That date is the inflection point of no return. They know that in the Vatican, Kim Clement predicted 2013. They know when they saw in the looking glass and they're going underground military bunkers and put up nuclear warnings worldwide. And NATO's telling you worldwide, mainstream media, get ready for 3 days with food and water. And the Bible warns you about that. Like the days of light, Christ said, when he was Abraham. What happened then? All the opposite light stars within the stars came from heaven to earth and put the whole world in checkmate and destroyed 5 cities. Okay, and only saved 5 people. And that's what's going to happen. like the days of Noah and like the days of Lot. The orbs of light that walked with Enoch in the days of Noah that caused all this are the same orbs of light that's going to cause the same thing now. And they've already come from heaven to earth. When Jacob's star went in supernova in the middle of 7 last year, on my date of birth, 27/9 September, Daniel 9:27, middle of 7, Jacob's trouble, Jacob's star went in supernova. 2 most powerful prophecies land on my date of birth. Same with the end date on new kilometer. Same with post-human stays, declared 27 September 99 up to verse G20 on my date of birth. They found me in 2008. I'm the last human born the 27th September 1960, born in the Bible, exactly on that day. But you don't know that because you're delusional. You're a power sign. You follow the Rockefeller systems and the artificial atheism. They wrote all your Bibles with all their delusions and got you to follow the naked drunks, Noah family, right, and Nimrod, and that's who you follow the most. You follow the whole Babylonian beast system. Greed, power, temptation, money, and material things controls every aspect of your life because you love the system and you kiss its ass every day and you love modern technology, modern gadgets with image. You had free will and you got it. And in that free will, you got trapped in mentality and sold your soul out, and now you got no soul power, no soulmate relationships, and no in tune to the codependent power. You don't have mental telepathy, ESP, remote UN telekinesis, levitation, spin clock winding, folding space and time with deja vu to predict the future before it's coming. You cannot think instinctively outside the mind with dimensional thinking. You cannot cure your human conditioning. You cannot repair your body cells. You cannot think clockwise. You cannot do what Christ can and more. And if you don't, it tells you in the Bible, you don't cross over back in the Christ image, you're never getting out of here. You live in a Christ mentality, consciousness, which is a load of bullshit. It's all fabricated by your own mind. Fabricated by atheism. Consciousness, Christ consciousness mentality is not spirituality. That's why these new people in their awakening mind and all these scholars don't even believe in faith, divine intervention, and miracles. We developed them so powerful that my brother said goodbye to 19 people with the most powerful confirmation. Didn't talk to me for 27 years. And 27 years of the day later, he wakes up from amnesia and the reincarnation trap. And then he tells me, after we lost the relationship for 27 years, that he was sent back from heaven to earth because of me. Same as Kirsty Nasley in 1992 in Ipswich Hospital when she flatlined 3 times. Flatlined 4 times, Narcane the first time, flatlined 3 times in hospital with power and divine intervention that brings her back to life. She says the same thing. She was sent back from heaven to earth because of me as well. And they're not the only 2. You think anyone believes in that? No one believes in nothing but themselves. God warned you, you will all be in a delusional state. And when he sends the witness with resurrection, he said you will all throw stones at him, and therefore you will all be devoured. I can promise you, 99.9% of people throw stones at me and only believe in their own God in their mind when God develops the most powerful confirmation and the most powerful evidence on earth. And you have to be in my shoes to know the truth. Like the days of Noah, like the days of Lot, 5 people saved. I promise you, 99% of followers right here now are the same godless, immoral creatures that only entertains themselves and convinces themselves they're going to be saved with a fast notification and fast food on their lap. They don't think they have to cross over and restore their biological fears to unlock the progenitor genes with the ancestor tools to be in the Christ image. They think they can get there in their mentality, in their personality, with their amnesia, trapped in the reincarnation trap, and they haven't got to open hell because they're not in the 6th sense, they're in 5 senses, inside their mind. Delusional parasites worldwide who live in denial and don't want to go back in the Christ image so they can do what Christ can and more and live to be 1,000 years old without suffering any consequences. Well, from the 27th September 2027, it's in every oldest problem in the world, there's no more heaven and hell. So good luck. Since you're all getting raptured into your Father's footsteps and your godfathers are back, the great gods are back for the harvest, don't you know that? Yeah, they're coming to get you. And God's given them authority. He raised the nefarious worldwide, and the nefarious is majority, and he said he will raise everybody in 100 years, right? Revelation, something been unfolding for 100 years since you've been stripped from the 6th sense. and stripped from your 24th chromosome the woman's blood of the lamb, the woman's seed. It's the one that's stripped from, you don't follow. The 24th chromosome that gives you supernatural power. Go Google it. Superhuman abilities, 24 chromosome. They tell you can't live in it. And you believe whatever they say. Because you're fucking stupid, godless, immoral creatures, and couldn't care less. Because you're the Antichrist. You're anti-clockwise. No matter what comes out of your mouth, your grammar and your religious political behavior set up by what? Noah and his family, who took away your universal language and took away your universal power and all your godlike abilities, and only made you live for 120 years, put you into nations with confusion and frustration, and created religious political with what? Mutations. That's why you all mutate all the time, where there is mutation and artificial intelligence, because you're no different than your forefathers. Look at the fucking shit you wear today. Look at the shit that comes out of your mouth. Look at real TV in America. Look at the catfish and cheating and the gay society. Look at Kim Kardashian all on fucking syrup packs. Look at everyone on Joe Rogan take drugs. Everyone on Joe Rogan takes drugs because they're the worst parasites in the world. And they all got mental disorders and defects in every American. Riddled with parasites. Riddled with mental disorders. Riddled with drugs. And a massive self-centered, egotistical, global delusional state. Self-envy, self-pride. That's Americans for you. Their soul's out. And as Nefarious says, which is real, he's got the whole lot. They give consent to him every day. And they do. They love Babylon. They love the pharaohs. They love greed, power, temptation. They love being capitalist pigs and capitalizing on their own personality with their own mentality about themselves. All about themselves, all about themselves, all about me, myself, and I. When God develops the most powerful confirmation, and I am developed this way in the Star Chamber Cry 99.9, imagine being in my shoes, knowing how filthy the rest of you are. You're created thieves and liars worldwide. When God developed the witness that comes with a genuine resurrection and resurrect humanity and bring it back in the primal state, you don't give a fuck, you reptilian swine. You think it's going to come on and land a bit on a lap. Really? Have you had a divine intervention? Have you had a confirmation? Have you had the clarification? No, you haven't. So why do you believe, right, in your mental mind and the voice mind that tells you otherwise? If you've never been selected with a natural selection with the UAP, unexplained era phenomenon that you know nothing about, if you have not gone through a divine intervention and a crossover and been selected with a divine intervention and a divine clarification, if you have not, then you have no idea what you're missing out on. And you will never be selected because God doesn't know you. He doesn't have a relationship with you because you're into yourself. God does not know you and you do not have that relationship. So you're delusional, you're a liar, and 99% of you can't feel the truth because you got no faith. You live on placebo effect and you're a liar. Deal with that. You want to wake up from amnesia and the reincarnation trap? Then take the red pill. Then go through the rabbit holes. Then listen to the book Freedom by Jeremy Givers. They'll take you through it. The Holy Ground of Life. And we're not breathing the Holy Breath of Life to restore your sacred secretion so you can conduct. Get off the grid for 40 days. Don't eat for 40 days. Fasten. So you stop unnatural selection. Get away from people. Don't be judgmental. Don't be competitive. Take zinc, magnesium, lots of water. Listen to wind up. Do wind up every day. The Holy Breath of Life. Push the oxygen to the maximum level so you create the euphoria of ecstasy high as a kite. In your highest high, where you feel the love pouring all over you. And you come right into your shell, and I'll take you right into your shell to the light in the tunnel, and you'll get the most powerful clarification with a divine intervention. But if you don't do it, you won't cross over. And if you don't cross over, you won't be saved. Because I'll put you through judgment here in a 40-day fast where you revise your perception and you go back to your childhood, and then you come out of your shell in innocence and realize you were trapped in a personality with mentality that possessed you and obsessed you without you realizing it. Then when you cross over, you see it, you get a confirmation, and you take control of your business from the outside in like Keanu Reeves and beat the resurrection, and then you're saved. Then you go back in a natural process with natural selection where genetic memory starts to open up and comes to you out of the blue, okay, genetic ancestral tools that comes to you out of the blue through a transformation in your DNA, and you keep doing wind-off, and you keep praying and keep creating that relationship on a daily basis. If you don't, you're fucked.